Wander open roads with us for a campground review of Thousand Trails Lake Texoma RV Campground.
Hi everybody, this is Miko
and Robin,
and we're Wander Open Roads. Thanks for joining us for another campground review. We were traveling from Oklahoma and decided to spend some time in Texas. Our first stop, Lake Texoma.
Yeah, Lake Texoma is one of the largest reservoirs in the United States, built by the Army Corps of Engineers some years ago, and it's right on the Texas-Oklahoma border. Huge area, great for camping, boating, you know, just all kinds of stuff. And it's about an hour and a half or so north of Dallas. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the campground, what we liked, what we disliked. Now,
we stayed at this campground for a week, so we really had some time to kind of get to know the campground, all the amenities, all the different things there is to do.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the cell service. We had 2 bars with Verizon, and even with the booster, it was still only 2 bars. And two bars with AT&T as well.
Yeah, so the booster didn't really help us that much in this situation, but we were able to, you know, do the basic things that you can do with 2 bars.
Yeah, so not necessarily a streaming situation. They had Wi-Fi in the clubhouses. They had a couple different locations where they had Wi-Fi. You know, we went there, we actually tried to download something on Netflix, but it was super slow and we kind of gave up on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was just taking too long. We really have to make sure we're downloaded before we get to the campground, honestly.
Yeah. So some of the things that I liked, they had a nice walking trail that was very well marked on the property. They had pickleball courts, and they were shaded. They were actually under a pavilion type of area, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had never actually seen that before, so it was actually nice to be able to play pickleball and not have to worry about the time of day because you're in the shade the whole time. So honestly, that was actually really nice.
It really was. Yeah, they had a nice putt-putt golf course that we took advantage of. They had
it was actually really fun. I enjoyed that course now. They did have like some shade around the putt-putt golf course, but it wasn't like a lot. So we actually just kind of went in the evening, you know, as the sun was going down, and it was perfect. I mean, there weren't a lot of people out there playing. There were some people, but you know, it wasn't like we were having to wait for the hole. So it was actually good.
Right. There were 2 pools that were available, along with two clubhouses. There was a game room. And also you had access to the lake, although you definitely had to drive there to really, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't, you know, something where, you know, normally we would like to take our kayak right from the campground to the lake. It definitely was not that type of situation. We did try to get into a section that we felt was the closest to the lake, so that we could take the kayak down, but we did try to walk it first, and we quickly realized, yeah, this is not a situation where we want to take the kayak. So
definitely not.
Yeah, it was a nice walk, but
you're
not taking the kayak from the campsite.
Yeah. But if you had a boat and you know you take it down to the boat launch, it was definitely something that was available from within the park. So you
just need a vehicle to be able to do it.
Another thing that I really liked was the tree cover. You know, it definitely had that kind of campground feel.
Yes.
Yeah. Lots of trees. Now, not all of the spots were shaded, but there were definitely shaded spots available if that is what you wanted.
Right. So section B was the area that had the most tree cover.
However,
so that's where we went first.
Yeah, that's where we went first.
Notice we said first.
Yeah, we ended up having to move. And let me see, we originally went to campsite B22, and there were 2 or 3 sites in that section that were really bad for sugar ants, and we had a sugar ant infestation in our rig, and that was not fun.
Not fun at all.
Yeah, and then we actually looked at I actually found some older reviews online where people had the same problem in the same site. So yeah, B22 and the surrounding sites, watch out, because those ants, I mean, I have never seen ants attack like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like we woke up and we were just, you know, infested with ants. They were
everywhere.
I mean, we just couldn't kill them fast enough. Bug spray, nothing.
Yeah.
It was a situation where we literally had to move.
Yeah, we had to move, and it took a few days for us to kill all the ants off. But yeah, it was pretty bad. We had to move.
Yeah, I feel like that was the worst part of our experience at Lake Texoma. Not gonna lie. I mean, that was literally the worst part.
Yeah. So then we moved up to B45, trying to stay in the same area, and we had power issues there. It was a 30 amp site. We were only pulling 14 amps, which shouldn't have been a problem, but the power was just on and off constantly, and then it wasn't just us, it was other people in the area, and the thing, you know, there weren't that many rigs there, so it wasn't like a whole bunch of people using power at one time. You know, it was kind of sparsely populated, so they just had a power issue there. Yeah. So we ended up having to move to section C, and we had no issues there, but we also had no shade.
Yeah, so it's like section B is like that grass is greener on the other side, so you think, oh, we're gonna get the shade. You go to section B and you're thinking, oh, this is so nice, all the trees, and then you get ants. You move to another part of section B, and then you got power issues, all of which, as we kind of heard, they kind of already knew about, so this was not like a new problem.
Yeah.
So we really weren't happy with that. And then to move to section C, which, again, as Robin said, had no shade, but it also had no bugs or no ants.
Yeah, no ants
and no power issues. So, you
know, I guess all I could say is Thousand Trails, you knew you had these specific issues, so, you know, take care of it. Do something about it, right?
Yeah, or at least, you know, warn people.
Warn people, yeah. Exactly, warn people.
Yeah, because moving 3 times in a matter of 2 days, honestly, was not fun.
Yeah, that was not fun. So.
But once we got settled into section C, even though we didn't have any shade, you know, things started to look up from there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I will say this about this campground. There is nothing in this area. I mean, you know, there's the lake and there's all that stuff, but in terms of, I mean, I think the nearest Walmart is like 35 minutes away. We actually took a bike ride and went out to like a Dollar General actually to buy some extra bug spray for our ant problem. But yeah, that was the closest store, was the Dollar General down the street, and yeah, there is, you know, I mean, even I guess Denison may be the closest town, but even that's probably a good 30 minutes or so.
Yeah. So, I mean, but honestly, it's not like it was a surprise. I mean, a lot of the Thousand Trails are kind of, you know, out in the cut. You know, they're on these lakes, kind of in these remote areas, on these preserves. So, I mean, we knew ahead of time that could be the situation.
Oh, yeah. We did.
But, you know, just letting people know, you know, there's not going to really be anything around. You're basically going to be at the campground.
Yeah, just, you know, make sure you stop at Walmart on the way in. Make sure you have plenty of food and, you know, whatever you need, because you are there to camp and to hang out at the lake, and that's it. So.
And relax.
And relax, yeah, exactly. So, you know, with that being said, you are out in the boonies. There were very few over-the-air channels that we could get with our antenna. The cell phone reception was not great. So
hence definitely needing to have downloaded Netflix before we got there.
Yeah. So definitely have some movies with you, have some entertainment, you know, whatever, because you're not gonna do a whole bunch of stuff through your phone and through, you know, all that type of things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Now, as far as the site itself, all 3 sites that we parked at were pretty level, so we didn't have any issues there. There were picnic tables. Not all of them had fire rings. Like B22 didn't have a fire ring. It was a very narrow site, but a pretty site. But the other 2 sites, B45 and the site in Section C, had fire rings. So the sites themselves actually weren't bad. So, you know, kind of easy to get into. So we didn't have any issues there.
Yeah, definitely. And the roads in the park were they were okay. They definitely could have used some attention, but as we found out later in our trip, there were some roads that were much worse at some of the other parks that we went to. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so you know, like going to the lake itself, I mean, it was, you know, a little, you know, it was kind of far. You know, the roads weren't, you know, necessarily that great.
Yeah, so just take it easy, take it slow as you're riding around through there.
Yeah, so you know, again, like other Thousand Trails that we've gone to, you know, a lot of them need, you know, a little more attention than they've been given. So, you know, when we go to Thousand Trails, we just have come to expect that, and you know, it's not like a huge deal for us.
Yeah. So all in all, we actually gave this park 3.5 stars in our rating.
Yes, because, you know, the park itself, you know, typical Thousand Trails, but you had the lake, so you could go boating, kayaking, and you had the walking trails, which, you know, typically we don't have. And I'm telling you, that shaded pickleball court was super awesome.
Yeah.
The game rooms had, you know, games that you could play. So
and,
I mean, you got full hookups. You know, for us being Thousand Trails members, there's no cost.
Right.
So, you know, the only things that, you know, we kind of deemed them for, and it's kind of a typical deem, is the park condition. You know, they do need a little TLC. And their locations, because, you know, they're out in the boonies. Yeah,
location to attractions or stores. Yeah, you're not within our criteria is like 20 minutes. Yeah, you weren't within 20 minutes of building. So, yeah. But if you are in that area, you know, North Texas, Oklahoma, and you need a place just to go chill for a nice long weekend, or I mean, we were even there for a week, and you know, it was a relaxing time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's relatively close to Dallas. Like, we did have like friends that came up.
Yeah, we did.
Lived in North Dallas to come and visit us. So, you know, it's still kind of close enough that if you were trying to do some things in the North Dallas area, or even in Oklahoma, I mean, you're definitely in that vicinity. You also have the state park, you know, that's in the area too.
Eisenhower State Park is it's close by.
Right.
Yeah.
So like if you wanted to, you know, kind of go out and do like a day trip to the state park, you know, that would be cool.
So would you go back? Would you stay there again?
I would go back. Yeah, I would go back. I mean, I wouldn't stay in Section B. So first off, I wouldn't stay in Section B. The site that we stayed in, it was like partial shade. There were a few that were down from us that it was like more shaded during the day. So that would probably have been where we would maybe park the next time. But I mean, overall, I mean, I liked it for Thousand Trails, and I love being on the lake. So
yeah, definitely. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. If you have any comments, please put any comments or questions there, and we will definitely answer them for you. And we thank you so much for joining us.
Wander safely. Be sure to check out our camping apparel and accessories at shopredsquare.com. We also sell on Etsy and Amazon. The links will be in the description. Thank you.